Tonight's the night.
Okay, so to clarify, it's the TV show version of Dexter and the anime version of Death Note, not the manga. Now you might think it doesn't matter since the Death Note story is basically the same, but there's one critical difference, being that for some reason the anime mainly takes place in 2007 and manga 2003. I know some people just hand wave away timeline placement, location and language barrier for these types of scenarios, but I'm not doing that. The reason this matters is because, to be honest, even when Dexter notices criminals are dying of heart attacks, he won't care, and when it gets revealed that Kira exists, he still won't care, since the trash is getting taken out, and even if he did decide to go after him, he couldn't track him to the other side of the planet because he can't do anything like the Lind L. Taylor move to narrow down location. The only time Dexter has ever left the US was to kill Leela in Paris, so he would need a reason to go to Japan, and that reason is Frank Lunder. Season 1 takes place in 2006. We see Halloween at the start, and Christmas at the end. At the start of season 2, Dexter says,
38 days, 16 hours, and 12 minutes have passed since I killed my brother.
And near the end, when talking to Dokes, he says,
I've been under federal investigation for 2 months.
Meaning season 2 is from February to April 2007. Meaning Death Note can happen later in 2007 after season 2, and we can use Frank to get Dexter to Japan. Basically, we just take Ray Pember and Naomi Misora, throwing them out the story and replacing them with Lunde, who would probably do better at the Beyond Birthday case than Naomi, since he bumped into an old man and immediately thought Arthur could be Trinity, so he's not falling for BB pretending to be L, which will probably make L like him more than he did Naomi. So, the FBI will have Lunde replace Ray following Light, and he'll get killed, which will lead to Deb wanting to go to Japan and Dexter going with her to babysit his sister. While Deb would want to get involved to avenge the love of her life and is an okay cop with smart moments, like noticing the trees to help figure out George King was the Skinner, but she doesn't speak Japanese and just got over her PTSD from Brian, so I don't think Elle would let her on the task force. Dexter, on the other hand, while also not knowing Japanese, is canonically the greatest blood spatter expert in the state of Florida. Lunde, the FBI's #1 agent who caught the Green River Killer, and the DC sniper, was happy when Trinity chose Miami since he could work with Dexter, who he considered his only intellectual equal. Since Elle respected Naomi and wanted her on the task force, and Lundy's more impressive than her and Lunde respected Dexter, I think it makes sense for Elle to respect Dexter's intelligence enough to want him on the task force, especially after most cops quit. Even if the crime scenes don't have blood, I'm sure LaGuardia would be fine giving Dexter time off to help with such a big international case. As a part of the task force, Dexter would have access to their information, knowing the 3 suspects and looking into Light, the main suspect. Dexter would actually be able to talk to Light since Light speaks English, and much like Elle would recognize his dark passenger. Kind of like how he immediately clocked Travis. He could disable the cameras in the Agami house, like how he's shown hacking computers and deleting footage from FBI computers. He'd investigate Light's room, and since he noticed the camera in the therapist office in season 1, he'd probably noticed the pencil break when he opened the door to Light's room, making him alert for traps. I then think he just finds the Death Note in Light's desk, getting around the trap. The Death Note is proof enough for Dexter's code, and while Rook warned Light about Ray or Lunde in this scenario, he only did that after getting annoyed about being followed, and Dexter will only follow him long enough to inject his M99. Dexter can get controlled drugs into France, so he should be able to do the same with Japan. If Light can get sneak attacked by Misa, then Dexter's getting him just fine.
I'm sorry, but I just couldn't wait for 2 weeks like you said. Actually, I was just on my way to your house when I spotted you.
This is the first time in my life that I've been provoked to hit a woman.
Women?
Alternatively, Dexter would be able to see Rook after touching the Death Note, and would probably try out the Death Note on a criminal just like Light, so he could just write in it. Light Yagami comes to this location without being followed and confesses everything before allowing himself to be killed. Dexter might actually keep the death note to help him with killing, and Ryuk would definitely be entertained by Dexter. Now you might think that the video is over, but this isn't could Dexter catch Light Yagami. It's could he solve the Kira case, and he still must deal with the second Kira. Dexter would want to leave after killing Light, but L is still looking for Kira, and his prime suspect just vanished. When Misa shows up as Kira, Dexter will want to push the idea that it's the real Kira, but L will know it's a copycat. Dexter will end up looking around with the rest of the task force, and because he has the Death Note, Misa will see he's a Death Note user, as well as his real name of Dexter Moser.
Hello, Dexter Morgan.
Misa will just assume that Dexter is Kira rather than the guy that killed Kira and reveal herself to him. As far as I know, Misa doesn't know English. Dexter has been fluent in Spanish since he was a teenager, and I'm sure will have learned some Japanese while there, but will most likely need to rely on Rem or Ryuk to translate. Dexter will have to deal with another Yander right after getting rid of Leela, and will want to kill Misa for the innocent people she killed at the news station, but can't because Rem will kill him. Elle in the original arrested Misa for being Light's girlfriend. Misa used one of her friends to send the letter, but when Elle learned that the girl with her DNA and fingerprints on the envelope was friends with Light's girlfriend, he immediately had Misa arrested. Without Misa dating Light, it will take slightly longer, but Elle will have Misa's friend interrogated, who will say she mailed the letter for Misa, and when looking into Misa, he will find out the killer of her parents was killed by Kira, leading to the same conclusion that Misa is the second Kira. Rem will then threaten to kill Dexter if he doesn't save Misa. Dexter is now in a difficult situation where he's unwilling to kill the task force. I think Dexter's plan would be to kill criminals as Kira while Misa is captive, and then confirm Ella's suspicion that Light is Kira by setting them up to find the Death Note with Light fingerprints and handwriting. He could also have MIAs give up ownership of her Death Note and go down the line of theory that Light made Elle have with the amnesia plan, thinking Kira is an entity that can jump bodies. Having possessed Light and then Misa, ultimately, I think Misa is set free with her memory whipped and Rem looking over her. The investigation goes cold, and Dexter returns to Miami with Misa's Death Note since Elle has Light's. Dexter has let people like Jeremy Downs go in the past and Jonah Mitchell in the future, so I think he'd let Amnesia Misa go, especially since Rem will kill him as she dies. So, could Dexter solve the Kira case? Yes, I just went over a scenario where he could do it. He found the identities of both Kiras. One is dead and the other rendered inactive. Could and would are obviously two different things. Funnily enough, Dexter would actually have a harder time dealing with Misa than Light because of Rem. Dexter also has a Death Note now, which would completely change things from Season 3 onward. By the way, we've reached 100,000 views. Also, despite it being out for months, YouTube has arbitrarily decided to block the I haven't seen Dexter scream like that since Rita Short.
You know, like you do.
Well, that's everything.